Welcome to the podcast. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of distributed compilation with a special focus on a tool called nocc. If you've ever worked on large C++ projects or been stuck waiting for compilations to finish, you're going to want to tune in for this one. So what exactly is nocc? Well, nocc is a distributed C++ compiler that allows you to compile code remotely. Imagine this. Instead of your computer doing all the heavy lifting during compilation, nocc sends the job off to a server that does it for you. Picture an assembly line where each worker focuses on a specific task, speeding up the entire process. This is nocc in the world of programming, efficient and time-saving. Interestingly, nocc addresses the problem of long compilation times quite effectively, especially for large projects. Think about a situation where you have a large codebase, like VKCOM, which has about 150,000 auto-generated C++ files. Compiling that would be a daunting task. But with nocc, multiple jobs are parallelized between several remote machines, drastically speeding up the compilation. It's like having a team of coders working together to complete the project. Now let's understand how this all works. When you run a command like nocc g++1.cpp, the nocc tool goes to work. It parses your command, uploads necessary files to a remote server, executes the compilation there, and then sends the compiled object file back. It's also smart enough to handle dependencies. So if your code relies on something else, nocc will make sure everything's lined up before it does its job. That means less waiting and more coding. But here's the kicker. Once a file has been compiled once, nocc remembers that. It uses what's called a remote cache, meaning that subsequent compilations can skip the actual compiling step if nothing has changed. This concept alone could save hours of build times, particularly when you're frequenting Git branches or merging code, both common tasks in our coding lives. I can already hear some of you asking, how do I get started with nocc? Well, it's pretty straightforward. You can download pre-built binaries or compile it from the source. Developers love simplicity, and nocc is built with that in mind. You basically just need to tell your build system to use nocc, and you're off to the races. Let's circle back to its origins because it's always good to know the backstory. Nocc was born at VK.com to improve the performance of its kphp project, which is a compiler that translates PHP to C++. They started with distcc, a similar tool, but quickly realized they could do better, hence the creation of nocc. With each iteration, they saw significant speed increases, eventually achieving nearly 9 times the performance compared to their original setup. That's a game changer for developers. Now, nocc isn't just about throwing your C++ files onto a remote server and hoping for the best. It intelligently manages various aspects of compilation. For example, it can handle accelerated processes like precompiled headers, which can boost compile times even further. When you use nocc to generate precompiled headers, it emits a special file that helps speed things up. It's a nifty trick that can save you loads of time in the long run. Some listeners might think, how does nocc stack up against tools like ccache or distcc? Well, here's where it gets interesting. While ccache speeds up local compilations, it doesn't distribute the workload across multiple machines like nocc does. On the other hand, nocc was specifically designed to replace distcc with enhanced features that make it much faster, particularly in scenarios involving complex dependencies. To wrap up, if there's one takeaway from today's discussion, it's that nocc is a powerful tool for anyone dealing with C++ compilations, especially in collaborative environments where time is of the essence. By offloading the heavy lifting to remote servers and effectively using caches,